Jason Ray and myself have broken down the Oklahoma team position by position. I put myself on that headline, but it's basically Jason has broken down the Oklahoma team position by position, and he just ran down what Lincoln Riley had to say in his introductory spring news conference concerning the secondary. So you can check out his breakdown of the secondary. Trey Norwood and Trey Brown, of course, come to mind. 8 interceptions lost from that 2020 team. Please like the video, share them out on social media, and subscribe right here at the Voice of College Football. All right, on the flip side of the defensive backs, of course, the wide receivers, Charleston Rambo, the one missing component from last season with 25 catches last year, 43 the year before. And Lincoln Riley also talked about getting that explosiveness back in the passing game.
Yeah, I think honestly, Mark, reading between the lines, that was the area, and not particularly a big surprise, but that was the area where Riley, he kind of sent a message. It sounded like to his wide receivers. He talked a little bit about how maybe that group wasn't as good as it's been in the past from a productivity perspective. Really talked about some of the most interesting battles that he feels that they'll see through spring ball could be in the wide receiver room. So that was interesting to see. And we talked a little bit about this, that certainly Rambo moving on to Miami is a blow. He didn't have an incredibly great season. Marvin Mims came out was the clear playmaker, but they had a lot of moving parts in terms of, Trajan Bridges was out for a majority of the year. Jaden Hazelwood missed a majority of the year with an ACL injury. So having some of those guys healthy and back will be interesting, in terms of what he talked a little bit about. We may shuffle some positions around to get those best guys on the field. Got a couple of freshmen coming in that are going to, in the spring, that are going to, start with some, to try to get in there from a playing time perspective. Mario Williams is a guy who's a true freshman, came in, who's turned some heads a little bit early on. And I think one player that's really interesting that we talked a little bit about through some of our positions is Billy Bowman. So I think, there was some thought early on in the year through the recruiting process that Riley and had talked about. We don't really know where he's going to play. He could play wide receiver, could play defensive back, could be a specialist here and there. So, but it looks like when Oklahoma released the roster for the spring, that Alex Grinch may have won the first battle, in spring camp, where he's listed as a defensive back. So I think they'll probably move him a little bit around, but at this point they have him listed at defensive back. I don't know, just in terms of reading into that, maybe I think the wide receiver room may be a little bit more crowded than the defensive back room right now, just in terms of players that they have in for the spring. So that might be one of the reasons why he's at defensive back. So I don't know if that means they're going to give him the first look at defensive back and then, maybe move him back to wide receiver or see how that works out. But interesting that his first position description was at defensive back.